Okay, take 7. Hello everyone, my name is Jeremy Baxter and this is my discussion for module 3 of dba625. And unlike Uber in Osgard's chapter 8, I did ask permission before I just went ahead and made a video. So I will try to be as thorough and as quick as possible. Whenever I was going through several of the readings this week, I absolutely related to, I used to work for the government, so working for a government is moving too slow and the technology can't possibly keep up with what's going on in the outside and the commercial world. I also extremely related to that video where they're talking about people avoiding the manager who is trying to initiate change, or the supervisor who asks for a solution and then, after you do months of work on it, just doesn't implement that discussion. But that's not really what I want to talk about. And what I'm going to do in the discussion is I'm going to look at the second part of the discussion, which is some current trends that are impacting employee innovation, and then I'm going to do the first part of the discussion, and it'll hopefully make sense here in a second. Forbes, in an article in 2021, when talking about employee innovation, their number 5 thing to look out for in 2021 was more of a digital presence. And they're talking about how companies need to allocate more spending towards innovative technology in digital events versus in-person events. And then later in the week I would read Montani, and he was talking about how information sharing leads to innovation, and this frequently de-escalates stressful situations in the workplace, particularly during the pandemic. And then I would read Clack, and that was an amazing read. But he talks about embracing a more diverse and spiritually centered workplace to cultivate change, and particularly cultivating change during difficult times. And Clack is pretty adamant that a change implemented during a difficult time is more likely to stay than a change that's implemented during when things are going well. And he really gets into how being accepting and diverse in the workplace makes it a much stronger workplace. And so thinking about those things and how this was kind of mentally preparing me for the first part of the discussion, and that's analyzing an organization, or to analyze an organization, briefly discuss organizational culture, product or service, and how they relate to a system of employee innovation. And while I was reading Osgard, he talks about instead of designing measurement points based on logic, like a 1 + 1 = 2, sometimes it's 0.5 + 1.5 = 2, right? He's talking about the connection between two measurement points. If we want sales, we should measure how many units were sold. He says we should also develop measurement points based on indirect correlation between measurements. So all of this stuff is preparing me for a conversation I would have with Misty Ward, who is the owner, and she's the lead midwife at Brookhaven Birth Center here in Harrisonburg, Virginia. Now, looking back on the several readings talking about innovation in the workplace and being more, culturally diverse and spiritually centered, and doing things online, especially during the pandemic, having a lot of communication. Our plan for the week, our plan for our meeting that I put a lot of effort into, was absolutely scrapped because she was exposed, or potentially exposed, to COVID and is in quarantine. And so this far into the pandemic, it was really keeping open lines of communication, de-escalated a stressful situation. She already had the money allocated to an online meeting platform. So she's already doing a lot of these practices and having a lot of these things worked into the culture of Brookhaven. So it was an easy, non-stressful event, and the conversation that I had with her was really amazing. When you think about a business, an occupation that's been around since there has been man, before the written word, before we were studying in universities, before any of this stuff, there were people giving birth, right? It's always been there. And how are you innovative in an industry that has literally been around since the beginning of mankind? And she really embraces change, and she really embraces a culture of inclusiveness, and a culture is great. And one of the first observations that I made whenever I went into Brookhaven several years ago was that as soon as I walked in, it didn't feel like what I expected a doctor's office to feel like. What I expected a health care facility was very stringent, or white walls and a chair in the middle of the room. There was none of that. It's the colors are very warm, the lighting is very warm, the people are very friendly, and it's a really great place to go and feel and be comfortable and feel, and it's a very inviting place to feel. And she absolutely, it's by design. It's absolutely by design. And whenever I was talking with her about different innovations in parenting, she referred me to a midwife in Central Florida whose name is Jenny Joseph, and Miss Joseph is the leader of this movement called Common Sense Childbirth. And when we're thinking about what Osgard was saying with using, not necessarily the sales, we want sales to go up, so let's measure how many things we're selling. Well, Miss Joseph is looking at African American children having a higher chance of low birth weight and being born premature. And rather than looking at, well, mom has high blood pressure, so we should give her high blood pressure medication, Miss Joseph takes a more holistic approach and a more community family approach. And what she does is she includes the partner in a lot of as many as possible prenatal activities, such as the birth plan and sonograms, and involving the partner. By involving the partner, they get to see and hear and feel the child, and by involving them, the partner wants to be more involved and gets to be more part of the team, and this creates less stress for the mother. Because the mother is under less stress and has a better outlook on the future and their family, they're seeing healthier outcomes with the babies, higher birth weights, and less premature children. And healthier babies make for healthier mommies, make for healthier families, makes for a healthier community. And it's really amazing to me how, like, these several readings prepared me for an amazing conversation with an absolutely great business and just community that they have at Brookhaven. And I'm really looking forward to working with them in the future. So that's my discussion for this week. I hope everybody is staying positive and staying safe. Have a good one.